Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of The Hot Seat. Tonight we are crossing the borders, and I mean we're getting out of our borders as a country, Kenya, And I'm sure you're wondering, what do you mean out of the country? I mean exactly that, because we're going to Tanzania. I'm talking about someone who survived an assassination, 16 bullets, and they're still going and passionate about their country and making it better. I'm talking about none other than Mheshimiwa Tundu Lissu. Karibu sana to the hot seat. My name is Sarah Mwangi. Karibu sana Mheshimiwa.
Asante sana dada Wambui. I'm so happy to be on your program.
It's so good to meet you in person.
Yeah, thanks.
And Kenya yakupeleka namna gani?
Kenya, Kenya kwangu ina maana nyingi sana. Sio tu jirani, lakini this is where these Kenyan people saved my life,
Yes.
They took me in as a son or an uncle, or like I love to say, and I'm serious about it, I have a lot of Kenyan blood coursing through my veins.
Wow.
Literally. Because
there was a lot of donation.
I got a lot of Kenyan blood in the 4 months that I spent here.
Great.
Just,
at the Nairobi hospital.
At the Nairobi hospital.
All right, great.
So coming here, it's always, going to people who took very good care of me, the people who I suspect love me.
Yeah, we do. Kenyans love you.
Yeah. So it's always a very special occasion when I come here. I love it here.
All right, great.
And I love the people, and I love the Kenyan politics and society and media. You people are vibrant. You're noisy. You don't take no shit from anybody, and I love that.
I like that.
I love
that. The audience might have a different opinion, but yeah, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
So kabla tuendelee na the details of all this and how we took care of you.
Yeah.
I think interview tutachanganya lugha.
Hamna shida.
The presence.
Hamna shida.
I will struggle to put my
nafahamu sheng kidogo.
Unaelewa?
Kidogo.
Unajua kugota?
Sasa hapo utanipa.
Shikilia uzito basi. Fantastic. That's how we say.
Hiyo ndio kugota.
Kugota ni hivi.
Aha. Sisi tunasema gonga basi.
Gonga basi. Fantastic. Haya, sasa kabla tuendelee kwa haya yote, we'll start with just getting to know your story. Like, where were you born? How did you start up? How was your childhood? Like,
I was born in a small village called Mahambe in Ikungi district of Singida region. This is central Tanzania. On January 20th, 1968. So I'm going into my 54th year. Kwa hiyo ukiniita mzee ni sawa tu.
Hapa Kenya mzee miaka 50 ni vijana bado.
Ijapokuwa nikienda kwa wazee wananiambia we kijana toka hapa. Nikienda kwa vijana wananiambia we mzee huku unatafuta nini? Kwa hiyo nina some kind of an identity crisis hivi. Yeah. So I'm going to be 54 in January. So I grew up, you said you want to know a bit about my childhood.
Yes.
I grew up in a village. I'm a country boy. Headed cattle and mbuzi and kondoo na ndama wadogo. I did all that a boy would do in a rural Tanzania where people are agro-pastoralists. Tended the farms, and all that.
All right.
Was born into a very large family. Kwa mama yangu pekee tulizaliwa 10. Na mimi niko number 7. Kwa mama mdogo kuna 4. Kwa hiyo kwenye boma ya mzee Lissu kuna watoto walizaliwa 14.
All right.
Wapo wametangulia mbele ya haki, lakini tuliopo tuko 10. Tumebaki 10.
All right.
Yeah,
umesema kwa mzee Lissu, hivyo Lissu ni jina la baba mzazi?
Lissu ni jina la baba.
Kwa hivyo jina yako kamili ni gani?
Jina langu mimi ni Tundu. Sasa mamangu hatamki Kiswahili. Maana Tundu ni nyie mnaojua mnaosema Kiswahili nyie. Mamangu anasema Rundu. Hebu sema.
Tundu. Ina sound kama Waluya wa Kenya wakiongea.
So my mom would call me Rundu and my dad too. Lakini sasa Rundu unaandikaje kwenye daftari, kwenye kitabu? Unaandika Tundu. Kwa hiyo nimekuwa Tundu Lissu.
Okay.
When I should rightly be Tundu Lissu.
Got it.
Yeah.
So ukasomea pale alafu
nikasomea pale Mahambe. Now my schooling needs a bit of time to explain. In the 70s, in the mid 70s, kulikuwa na a major operation all over rural Tanzania ya kuhamisha watu kutoka kwenye makazi yao na kuwapeleka kwenye vitu vilikuwa vinaitwa vijiji vya ujamaa. Kama umesoma historia ya China, utajua Mao after the 1949 revolution, Mao alihamisha watu by millions kuwapeleka kwenye communes, kwenye village communes. And the same thing happened during the 1930s in the former Soviet Union. Ujamaa, socialism. So the period in Tanzania, the period 1973 to 1977, those 4 years, about 3/4 of the Tanzania's total population, all those who were living in the countryside, were moved into these Ujamaa villages. It was a period of massive upheavals in the countryside. And no one ever wants to leave their homes.
Yes.
No one wants to move into a strange place to start all over again. And so people tried to resist, some successfully, others not so successfully. Now in the case of Mahambe, we were not moved. And one of the reasons that we were supposed to be moved was because we didn't have a school in our village. So all my brothers, my sisters who were older than me went to school in nearby villages. So Mahambe was supposed to be destroyed simply because we didn't have a school. So wazee wakasema, no, kama shida ni shule tu, then we'll start our own school. Kwa hiyo ile shule, today it is called Shule ya Msingi Mahambe, Mahambe Primary School. For 4 years, ilikuwa inaitwa variously as Bush School or Parents School, shule ya wazazi. It wasn't a proper primary school. For the first 4 years of my education, my formal education, I didn't have a qualified teacher kwa sababu shule yetu haikutambuliwa na mtu yeyote. It was just established so that our village can survive. And so after 4 years tukaanza kujenga nani wenyewe na wazazi wetu na nini, but after 4 years the government finally gave up on us. So going to class 5 in 1980, we became Mahambe Primary School. And then in 1982 I completed my standard 7. Sisi tuna 7 years primary school. I was one of 3 pupils who were, who passed the exams, and we went to secondary school. And from secondary school, went through high school, went to university. Here I am.
Yes.
Here I am.
Fantastic.
And I always tell people, if you look at my journey through the educational system, I probably didn't have much of a chance, but here I am.
Here you are.
Yeah. How stupid do I look?
You don't look at all. So pale university uliweza kusomea law?
I joined the University of Dar es Salaam, the Faculty of Law of the University of Dar es Salaam in 1991. And I graduated in 1994. And after Dar es Salaam, I got a British government scholarship to go do my postgraduate degree at the University of Warwick in the British Midlands, West Midlands. And I graduated from Warwick in 1996. Kwa hiyo baada ya hapo nikaingia mtaani kutafuta kazi, kubangaiza Waswahili wanasema. And then, you know, the rest is history, as they say.
So in all these things, after studying law, you came back to Tanzania?
I came back to Tanzania.
To practice?
I always wanted to teach law. I always envisaged myself as an academic, a law professor of sorts. So all this effort going to get a master's degree, it was all because I wanted to teach at the University of Dar es Salaam. And that was the only college in the country that was offering law degrees. And the Faculty of Law of Dar es Salaam is the oldest law faculty in East Africa. Kwa hiyo kina Jaji Willy Mutunga rafiki yangu wote wale ni graduates wa Dar es Salaam. Wamepitia Dar es Salaam. Alafu wakarudi hapa. Na wengine wengi tu, Amos Wako, yule alikuwa anaitwa Jaji Chesoni, Zacchaeus Chesoni, na wengine wengi tu.
All right.
Yeah,
good
yeah,
to
yeah.
At
So
there's a lot of Kenyan.
There's a lot of Kenyan connection with Tanzania.
All right.
We're not just neighbors.
There's more.
There is a lot more.
Great. So did you teach or did you end up?
I didn't, but this in the 90s. The 90s was a very difficult period economically. We were going through these structural adjustment policies, and there was a lot of cutbacks on government spending on social services like education, health, water, whatever. And these cuts on government spending affected education, higher education at that. So by the time I come back, when I graduated in 1994, I should have been retained as a tutorial assistant. I was the best student in my year. And in those years, you were automatically retained. But I graduated in 94, and they tell me, sorry, we don't have the money to retain tutorial assistants because of these cutbacks. We can only hire tutorial assistants who have master's degree. So I had to look for a scholarship to get a master's degree somehow. But because I had done so well, I managed to get a British government scholarship.
Yes.
And so I come back after 2 years with my distinction from Warwick. Jamani, nimekuja nina masters, naomba kazi. Wakaniambia, sorry Mr. Lissu, we have stopped hiring altogether.
Wow.
So kazi hamna.
So
nikaingia sasa mtaani. Nikaingia streets. Kujaribu na kutafuta maisha.
Yes.
I joined a small NGO called Lawyers Environmental Action Team, LEAT, L-E-A-T, which had been established for 2-3 years previously. Lawyers organization interested in environmental protection and natural resource management issues and so on and so forth. So I joined them as a research fellow, and then so I worked with LEAT. In 1999, I went to the U.S. to work with the World Resources Institute in Washington, D.C. as a research fellow. They have a big Africa program at WRI. I was there for 3 years. I came back in December of 2002, returned to LEAT, and I stayed with LEAT until I went to Parliament in 2010.
Yes.
Yeah.
So all this time, did you always want to be in politics, or was it, let me just go back home and see if I can try this thing called politics?
I was always deeply political. I should have been born here because Kenyans are deeply political.
Yes.
So I was always deeply political, interested in public affairs, and so going to politics was not much of an issue for me, because I always considered myself, whether working as an environmental and human rights activist, to me that was political work. You know, and therefore going to parliament, going to parliamentary politics or electoral politics,
Yes.
was just, you know, taking a different platform, using a different platform to do that which I had always done, and that is trying to affect public policy in ways which are meaningful to large sections of the population. Nchi zetu hizi, nikisema nchi zetu na maana na Kenya na all these our countries, watu wanaonewa sana, serikali zinaonea watu sana
ambao hawako kwa serikali,
ambao hawako, wana vijiji tu, watu wa mashambani ni rahisi au mitaani huku ni rahisi sana kuonewa tu, na nyang'anywa ardhi. Kulikuwa na kipindi Kenya hapa, kulikuwa na a lot of land grabbing, au sio? Actually, if you go through Kenyan history, there's always been
land is an emotive issue in this country.
Yes, it is, and it is an emotive issue because people, starting with the British colonial state and its settler communities, robbed everybody of land here. And then miaka ya uhuru, you know what the Kenyatta one and the Mois did. Kwa hiyo kuna uonevu sana kwa watu ambao hawana nguvu za serikali, hawana political protection. Na ni hivyo Tanzania. And my work was always to try and protect those who did not have much of a voice in the political scheme of things in Tanzania.
That's
so
what
so I was
pushed you to
always
parliament.
yes, that is what pushed me to parliament.
And that is in now 2010,
This
right?
is 2010.
All right.
But Tanzania, like Kenya here or every other country in Africa, Tanzania was for a long time a one-party state. And we became a multi-party state around the same time as Kenya, early 90s. In Tanzania, 1992, I know Kenya, 1990. And we held our first multi-party election in 1995. And I had just come out of college in 1994. And 95 was the year, the general election year. And by then I had gone to Warwick. I came down from the University of Warwick in England, kuja kugombea ubunge, 1995, as a student. This first multi-party election was a major event. I wasn't going to miss that.
You had to be home.
I had to be home.
Alright.
Kwa nikaambia shuleni kule, subirini kidogo. Subirini kuna mapambano muhimu zaidi kule. So I went back home, fought the election battles, lost heavily, and I went back to school. And then I decided, knowing all what I saw during the 95 general elections, I said, nikirudi mara ya pili, nitarudi ili kuja kushinda, sio kufanya majaribio. And so when I went back to electoral politics in 2010, I used all those good lessons of 1995 and I won that
And
time.
you won.
Yeah.
So, and you served in parliament between 2010 and 2017, right?
2019.
Yes, 2019, sorry.
I was re-elected in 2015 during the general elections that brought Magufuli to power. And then in 2017, I was forced out of the country because of the shooting that brought me here to Nairobi.
Yeah.
And then eventually to Europe. Now, while I was going through treatment in Belgium, in June of 2019, I was stripped of my parliamentary seat.
All right. Before we get to that part.
Yes.
Before we get to that part.
So,
how do you describe the time you served in parliament proper between 2010 and probably 2017?
2017.
Yes. How was that experience?
That was, it is likely to be one of my best years. It is certainly one of my most meaningful years in my political career. I think historians will probably have something to say about it, but I think my parliamentary stint made the Tanzanian parliament very, very vibrant.
It was.
It was very vibrant, and I had a lot to do with it because I brought into parliamentary politics in Tanzania the kind of serious attention to detail and courage and commitment and verve. I'm a very loud fellow.
Yes.
Those were the best years.
Those were the best
years.
All right.
I loved my parliamentary work. Watu wanapenda kuitwa waheshimiwa.
Yes.
Ukiwa mbunge, ukienda benki ukai kwenye foleni.
Kumbe sio hapa Kenya peke yake.
Ukai kwenye mheshimiwa.
Nafikiri ni Kenya tu ndio tunafanya ile.
Hapana, ukiwa Tanzania ukai kwenye foleni bwana. Ukienda airport unapitia kwenye VIP lounge. Mambo ni mazuri, sawa?
Yale waweza kuwa mmekopi kutoka hapa Kenya.
Nafikiri inawezekana, lakini nafikiri ni mabunge mengi yako hivi. Kwa hiyo people love ubunge because of these perks, that go with it.
Yeah.
Because of these privileges. It's a privileged position.
Yes.
I loved the perks, but I loved the work.
The work was
the work.
Fantastic.
Na watu wengi, I would say this, wabunge wengi ambao nilikuwa nao bungeni, I realized actually, wabunge wengi hawapendi ubunge. They don't like the job. They love the
perks.
The perks. They love the privileges and the heshima inayokwenda na ubunge. But I loved the work. I would work my ass out to, do it properly. I took it so seriously. I will tell you a story. One day, I would normally, bunge linamalizika saa 2 usiku, and I would go to my office, and I would work until sometimes midnight, and then siku moja askari akaniuliza, askari wa getini, akaniuliza, mheshimiwa, wewe una shida gani? I was like, why? Wewe unakaa mpaka saa 6 ofisini? Watu wanakula maisha mjini huko, wewe
hutaki kula maisha.
Yeah, they were surprised that I took it so seriously. But and that is what I'm saying. I took it very, very seriously. I loved it. And I loved it because it gives you the opportunity to speak out on issues that are so important. If you know what you're doing, of course. It gives you the kind of opportunity and access to documents, access to information that you may not get anywhere.
Yeah.
And therefore, for me, my parliamentary years were the best years.
They were the best.
They were the best years. And I gave it my 110%.
Ah, fantastic.
Yeah.
And then Magufuli happens. And again, it became a dramatic season.
Yes.
How was that season serving as the official opposition, while the president, again on the other end, the late...
This Magufuli fellow is a minister when I'm in parliament during the first term,
yes.
2010, 2015. He's a minister. And later on, people were asking, but didn't you people know about this guy? Well, some of us did. Magufuli, the minister, did not have any skin whatsoever for criticism. Yani, ukihoji mambo ya wizara yake, bungeni. Now, as politicians, as parliamentarians, bunge ni mahali penye kelele sana. Mawaziri wanasemwa sana. Kazi wanazofanya zinashambuliwa sana. But ukimsema Magufuli vibaya na wizara yake, you can be sure atakufuata baadaye. Kama anaweza kukuintimidate, atakuintimidate. Kama anaweza akakutisha, atakutisha. So we had people telling me, members of parliament, wanaambiani, mheshimiwa, huyu waziri ameniambia sitapata mradi wa barabara hata moja kwenye jimbo langu kwa sababu nimemsema vibaya. Kama hawezi kukuintimidate, anajaribu kukufanya nini? Kukupaka mafuta. Bwana, mimi alikuwa ananiita mdogo. Sasa mdogo wangu, unajua mimi siwezi kukusema vibaya hata kidogo. You know, kwa sababu he cannot tell me nitakushughulikia, because I will tell him off. Then he becomes president.
Yes, and you're in the same parliament.
And I'm in the same parliament.
How was that season?
It was
before 2017 now happened.
It was very interesting, and I'll tell you why. Magufuli comes to power, and in the first few 2 months or so, he captures the imagination not only of Tanzanians, but also of around the region, particularly where we are right now.
Yeah.
Wakenya wakaanzisha something called hashtag what would Magufuli do?
Yes.
People thought, this guy is so good. I was the only one who said, we are in trouble, and we are in big trouble. Because Magufuli is a kind of person who does not take any criticism. This is a person who does not have any regard to the law. He was completely lawless as a minister. Now he's president. Now he is a president who has control of the security apparatus. We are in for a very rough ride. Tujiandae. I was the only one. And a lot of people did not understand, huyu Lissu ana shida gani? You know?
But did you have any beef with him?
No, not at all. Not at all. I saw him from the word go. I saw him from 10 miles away. A populist. Ukiscratch matendo yake. If you analyze his statements and his actions, you realize actually hana tofauti and all the dangerous demagogues throughout history. Lakini unajua watu hawasomi sana, hawafuatilii hivi, kwa hiyo wanakuwa dazzled na nini? Na maneno matamu hivi,
So how was that the term?
Now before we go to Nani, so because I saw this danger coming, I spoke out. And I spoke out and I spoke out and spoke out. I denounced him whenever opportunity arose. And then the persecution began.
Yes.
So between June of 2016 up to September 7, the following year when I was shot, I was arrested 8 times, charged in court with this or that offense 6 times. So as we speak now, I have 6 criminal cases in the resident magistrates court of Dar es Salaam. All of them for criticizing Magufuli and his government. All right? Sijawahi kushtakiwa kwa kupiga mtu au kwa kusema pindueni serikali. Nimeshtakiwa every time kwa kusema huyu mtu ni wa hovyo, matendo yake ni ya hovyo. And I was persecuted seriously, and then it ended up being nearly killed.
Yeah, and the persecution went on to a point we witnessed.
Yes.
The assassination, so to say, the
Yes.
attempted assassination.
That's right.
How was that experience, and what was the cause of that particular assassination?
You have the cause. The cause obviously has to do with my position, my public position vis-a-vis his administration and his policies.